Welcome to Footy Bite Daily, your go-to source for the hottest football updates. Let's get into it. Starting with some big-picture developments. The Saudi Pro League is gearing up for a massive overhaul after the 2026 World Cup, planning over 50 high-profile signings to boost its global appeal. Top targets include Real Madrid's Vinicius Jr., Liverpool's Mohamed Salah, Manchester United's Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro, Arsenal's Gabriel Martinelli, Barcelona's Robert Lewandowski, Everton's Amadou Onana, and Leicester's Youri Tielemans. This comes amid reports that clubs like Ittihad could see a revamp, with stars N'Golo Kanté, Fabinho, and Karim Benzema potentially departing at season's end. Adding to the intrigue, Saudi officials are exploring ways to retain Cristiano Ronaldo's influence by expanding his 15% equity stake in Al Nassr, aiming to avoid a dip in international interest if he leaves. In other league-shaking news, Real Madrid president Florentino Perez, fresh off the Super League setback, is now pushing for an NBA Europe model, criticizing the EuroLeague for siphoning revenues, much like his past beefs with UEFA. On the international front, tensions are rising ahead of the 2026 World Cup, hosted in the US, Canada, and Mexico. A German Football Federation vice president, Oke Göttlich, has called for serious discussions on a potential boycott, citing US President Donald Trump's controversial Greenland takeover bid and tariff threats against Europe as reasons for strained relations. Shifting to heartwarming traditions, Ajax continues to honor former player Abdelhak Nouri, who tragically collapsed on the pitch in 2017 while wearing number 34. For 9 years straight, the club posts matchday updates across social media at exactly 7:34, a touching tribute to his legacy. Finally, Manchester United is on the hunt for a new head of social media after Nick Speakman's departure last year. The role is crucial, managing a massive fan base of 37.8 million followers on X, formerly Twitter, 85 million on Facebook, 65.5 million on Instagram, and 31.2 million on TikTok. Speakman was praised for modernizing the club's online presence, especially among younger staff. On a less positive note, United has launched an internal probe into how their starting 11 leaked hours before the recent Manchester derby, with Sun Sport accurately reporting the lineup, much to the club's frustration. Now, on to the transfer window drama. The Red Devils could have a path to signing Chelsea's Cole Palmer, who's reportedly is feeling homesick and eager to return to Manchester, his hometown. However, it had come at a steep £100 million plus price tag, though wages shouldn't be an issue for United's budget. On the outgoing side, Casemiro is set to depart when his contract expires this summer, as the club opts not to trigger a one-year extension, freeing up space for their rebuild. Meanwhile, United has made initial contact with Marseille about bringing back Mason Greenwood, leveraging a £42 million buyback clause after his impressive League One form. At Real Madrid, there's clarity on Trent Alexander-Arnold's situation. Despite earlier Spanish reports from unreliable sources like El Nacional suggesting manager Álvaro Arbeloa urged him to leave due to underwhelming offensive and defensive contributions, the club has full support for the 27-year-old Englishman. Arnold is not being forced out and remains part of their plans, even after a slow start in La Liga. In managerial buzz, Jurgen Klopp is demanding total control over signings and departures if he takes the Bernabeu job this summer. Players like Dani Carvajal and Ferland Mendy wouldn't fit his vision. On Vinicius Jr., Saudi intermediaries made contact without a formal offer, but the Brazilian star is likely to renew his deal with Madrid. Agent Fernando Hidalgo also shut down rumours about Julian Alvarez, stating no meetings with Barcelona's Deco and that any interested club must approach Atletico Madrid directly, where Alvarez is fully committed. AC Milan is preparing an offer for versatile defender Joe Gomez, who's been a reliable squad option since his 2015 debut, amassing over 200 appearances. Tottenham Hotspur is eyeing left-back Andy Robertson with a proposed £3 million plus add-ons bid, though that seems undervalued for the Scottish captain, who's delivered 65 assists in the Premier League. As for Mohamed Salah, he's a prime target for the Saudi Pro League, with feelers already out this window, but Liverpool isn't entertaining talks. At Arsenal, the Gunners are eyeing a blockbuster summer swoop for Julian Alvarez from Atletico Madrid, where sources indicate a fee north of €100 million. Barcelona is also in the race for the Argentine World Cup winner, who's notched 54 goals in 134 games for Manchester City before his move. At Chelsea, the Blues are exploring a loan deal for Brazilian midfielder Douglas Luiz from Juventus for the rest of the season, potentially pulling him from his current loan at Nottingham Forest. The 27-year-old could provide vital midfield cover as Chelsea battles on four fronts, building on his strong Premier League experience from Aston Villa days. At Fulham, the Cottagers have extended captain Tom Cairney's contract for another season, keeping him at Craven Cottage until 2027, marking his 12th year with the club since joining in 2015. They're also in progressing talks for Manchester City's young winger Oscar Bobb, with a potential £30 million bid on the horizon. At Crystal Palace, manager Oliver Glasner has addressed Jean-Philippe Mateta's future amid interest from Juventus, who won't go above €33 million for the striker. Their proposal is a loan with an obligation to buy if they qualify for the Champions League, but Glasner confirmed no bid has arrived, and there is no transfer request from Mateta, and he'll feature in the next match. Nottingham Forest has secured Italian striker Lorenzo Lucca on loan from Napoli, with an option to buy in the summer. This could impact Douglas Luiz's situation if Chelsea pursues him. At Everton, midfielder James Garner has inked a new 4.5-year deal until 2030, committing his future after breaking through from Manchester United's academy and helping Everton avoid relegation battles. At Aston Villa, young Scottish striker Rory Wilson, a promising talent from Rangers' youth setup, could head out on loan next week, with interest from UK clubs and abroad as he seeks development minutes. At Brentford, boss Thomas Frank has shut down any January exit for Bayern Munich loanee Mathys Tel, emphasizing the need to retain squad depth for performance. The Hammers have rejected a £33 million plus £3 million add-ons bid from Flamengo for Brazilian midfielder Lucas Paquetá, holding firm on the 28-year-old who's contributed 18 goals and assists this season. At Feyenoord, Canadian striker Cyle Larin is set to depart early from his loan, with 4 clubs already expressing interest. He's eyeing regular playtime ahead of the World Cup to build on his 29 international goals. At Mallorca, the Spanish side has no plans to offload defender Marash Kumbula, dismissing reports of negotiations with Udinese despite interest. At Genoa, the Italian club has bolstered their squad with midfielder Tommaso Baldanzi on loan from AS Roma with a buy option, and Sheffield United defender Nils Zetterstrom on loan until season's end. At Galatasaray, the Turkish Giants has confirmed a €2 million loan fee for winger Noah Lang, with a €30 million buy option that's not obligatory. That's your roundup for today, folks. Stay tuned to Footy Bite Daily for more updates as the transfer window evolves. Hit that like button, subscribe, and remember, football never sleeps.